Hey guys, Tay here checking back in with Ring of Elysium. They've officially come out of early access on Steam, and with the full release, they brought us a new game mode called Ashen Eye. It's something completely new for Ring of Elysium, so let's get this video started and check out this new game mode. So, Ring of Elysium has come out of early access, releasing the full game on Steam, and like I mentioned a second ago, they've also released a new game mode called Ashen Eye. Ashen Eye is a bit of a twist on the original game mode. In the original game mode, you have access to the entire map and you're tasked with avoiding death by player while the map's zone is constantly shrinking, drawing players closer and closer together until finally a rescue helicopter arrives to pick up 4 of the remaining people that are left alive. In Ashen Eye, however, it doesn't quite work like that. The starting map is only about 1/4 the size of the original game mode. Starting each game like a normal battle royale, you'll have to loot up on weapons, armor, and medical supplies. After the initial looting period, the storm appears, and the only safe place from this volcanic storm is right in the center, the eye of the storm. Players outside of this eye will have to rely on their oxygen tanks to keep them alive. At first, the storm doesn't drain too much of your oxygen, about 1 point per second. But the longer the match goes on, the more severe the storm becomes, and the faster it'll drain your oxygen tanks. Speaking of oxygen tanks, let's get into them for a second. Each player starts with 300 oxygen in their tank, and as you start to eliminate other players, they'll drop what remaining oxygen they have left in their tanks, which you can pick up to replenish you and your squad mates' oxygen. This is a pretty good strategy to keep yourself alive when you're not in the eye of the storm and surrounded by enemies. Eliminate one and take their oxygen, then move on to the next one. Unlike the previous battle royales that had shrinking zones, this game mode zone stays the same size. It just moves around the map kinda like a hurricane through the ocean. Once the storm is started, it will just continue to move around the map until the match is over. To win this game mode, the player with the most amount of oxygen becomes the Oxygen King. If the king can remain on his throne for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, a helicopter will arrive for extraction. If the king gets taken out, the next player with the biggest tank takes his place and the timer starts all over again. Eventually, one squad will hold out long enough, or eliminate all the rest of the players in order for the rescue helicopter to pick them up. Something I mentioned earlier that I want to go a little deeper on is how quickly your oxygen depletes. After choosing your landing spot, you'll have an initial 5 minutes for preparations. Take out as many players as you can and snatch their oxygen while looting up as best as you can on weaponry, armor, and medical supplies. After your 5-minute prep period, the air is filled with sulfur dioxide and the only breathable air is in the center of the storm. While outside of the eye of the storm, you'll have to rely on your oxygen tanks to keep you alive. In the first wave, you'll lose 1 oxygen point per second, but as time goes by, the severity of the storm increases to the point where you lose 20 points of oxygen per second. Eventually, the storm will catch up with you, and you cannot remain outside the safe zone forever. When you do finally run out of oxygen, you will suffocate in under 5 seconds, and personally, I can hold my breath for a lot longer than 5 seconds, and with all the cardio these guys do, you'd think it would be a little bit higher than that. Alright, so we just got done talking about what happens outside of the zone, but inside the zone is a madhouse. The Eye of the Storm is a pretty small area where a lot of players are going to try to cram themselves to become the O2 King. The player in the Eye of the Storm with the most amount of oxygen becomes the O2 King. While you're the king, a timer is counting down until your extraction with the rescue helicopter. Remember though, heavy is the head that wears the crown, and the entire time you are king, your location is marked on the map for all the other players to see, which, is a pretty important thing to keep in mind. If you're the king, someone is always coming for your head. You'll have to stay alive long enough for the helicopter to extract you from this suffocating inferno. And unlike in the original game mode, you do not need to climb the rope ladder in order to win. You just have to stay alive for 2 minutes and 30 seconds as the O2 King. If you manage to survive for the allotted time, you will automatically trigger the win screen. Basically, the idea here is to kill everyone until you or one of your squad mates are the O2 Kings, and once you or your squad are the king, defend like crazy and don't let anyone near the king. With any luck, you'll be able to hold out long enough and walk away victorious. For me personally, this game mode was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hunting down the king and stealing his crown, and then the defense that followed as soon as you were spotted on the map was a hectic yet fun adrenaline-fueled ride. Those 2 minutes and 30 seconds while you were defending seemed to take hours while you were dumping mag after mag in a frantic attempt to stay alive. I did enjoy this game mode, though I don't think it's quite as revolutionary as the guys over at Aurora Studios would like us to believe. It's another Battle Royale game mode scaled down a little bit with a little bit of a different premise. Instead of a constantly shrinking zone that will end in a random place, it's a smaller zone to start that doesn't shrink and ends in a random place. Like I said, I did enjoy playing this game mode, and if you guys haven't played Ring of Elysium yet, it's totally free on Steam, so I'll make sure to leave a link down in the description below so you guys can check it out if you're interested in this at all. Well, that's all I have for this video. All in all, I think this is a pretty great addition to the game, but what do you guys think? Have you gotten a chance to play this game mode yet, and what's your opinion on it? I'm always curious to know what you guys think. With that being said, I'm going to get back to it. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.